Welcome to Center Heist Productions. Please hit the likes and subscribe down below in your right hand corner. Muchly appreciate that. Thank you to my followers and those subscribing and watching the channel. Muchly appreciate. Leave your comments after each episode on whatever topics we're on, but do it respectfully. As we have built a channel here, like I was saying, we try to focus on integrity. Now, as you know, so please, first, tell your friends and family, share it with others as well. And if you come across the channel, subscribe and hit the likes. Thank you very much. Okay, so I promised a video on responding to so much trade talk that was going on, and I didn't want to delve into it, but I seen an article last night. That's why I told you this morning I was going to be making a video to address it because it's just getting out of hand. So it's funny because first I'm going to give you my opinions, and we're going to talk about the rumors that were out there, and especially the recent one. Um, and I'm going to tell you my opinions on that. But here's the good news: the news just broke out over an hour ago. Jake Evans re-signs with the Montreal Canadiens for 4 years. Great deal at 2.85 million, 11.4 million in total. That is a great deal. So excited. And Evans was so excited to be staying there too. You could tell. You could tell that definitely he wanted to stay. I mean, as we seen the rumors, um, they were so far apart, and these numbers show there was definitely some give and take here. And Jake really, hey, you want to stay in Montreal? And he showed that he came down to reality if he wanted to stay with the program. So he proves just, that he's willing to work with Montreal. I am so pleased. 4 year contract, 2.85 a year, 11.4 million in total. Great job. Congratulations, Jake Evans. Congratulations, Kent Hughes, for the great signing. This was a good deal. Looks good all the way around from what I can see of it. And like I said, Jake was just so excited to have signed it. That was his response. He was quite pleased to be staying, and I'm so glad for that because if you noticed in the last few games, you could tell it was starting to play on him. He looked like he just had too much weight on him, nuts, and you could tell it was slightly affecting his game to that point where we weren't. Yes, was effective, but there were moments he was having some moments that he wasn't quite himself. And glad to see that load taken off. Glad there's no, if there's a guy on the Montreal Canadiens other than like Emil Heineman, and we're not talking about the first line because they're already signed. But anybody else, this is a guy so deserving. He works hard, gives you 110% every night. And I know even myself, I was dreading the thought of losing him. And so I wanted to address it because it was Pierre LeBron who, if Habs, there was an article on Habs Fanatics, and it came on a report of Pierre LeBron. How much truth was to it, we see now that these rumors, you got to take them lightly because who thought he was re-signing? Right now, I'm going to tell you my opinion. So last night, this was the one that drew me out to make this video. I was telling you that there was a particular article, and it was that article. It came from an insider, like I told you, Pierre LeBron, and them saying that LA was extremely interested in Jake Evans. Whether it was Jake Evans and Armia, that wasn't clear. However, there was talk that they would give up a first rounder for him. So, and this is why I do not like to talk about rumors, as we see today. Just an hour ago, he resigns. He's staying in Montreal for 4 more years. Yes, I'm so pumped. And that's what I say to squash rumorland. This is why you don't go running around with making rumors or following in, uh, building them up. because it's not worthwhile. It's gossip. There's no truth to it. Facts are facts. That's when the truth comes to it. So myself extremely pleased. Now, what I was going to say before this happened, ultimately I wanted Jake to be staying, and ultimately I'd like to see Armia stay. On that note, um, I think David Savard would be a good signing year by year, just year to year, to be the seventh defenseman. So that would leave only Dvorak. I think that's somebody. Unfortunately, he doesn't get the credit he's due, and you do got to make a little space. I would say you're going to have to definitely move on from Pizzetta. We know this. I don't know if there's going to be anybody wanting to give up anything for Pizzetta. But as far as Dvorak, he's probably out of the four names, the four big names that were always rumored, maybe the one to go. Now, the question mark is where the Habs have been performing so well, do you mess with this right now? My choice, I personally, this is my choice and what I think the Habs are going to do. Well, they re signed Evans. Please tickle pink. I am so tickled pink about this. I am very pleased. But I think this is an indicator. And I do think that we're seeing indications the Habs are pushing. You can't mess with, I don't think you can mess with this much, this group. So I think this was a great message to the team. The only thing I could say, there's one of two things the Habs could do. Again, everybody stays pat. You re-sign Armia and Savard, and possibly at I don't know, do you move on from Dvorak? That's hard to say, at some point here, because you are going to have to open up at least one door in the front line. Do you make that big thing where I think they should do is go after a piece like Cousins and make some type of package, because we've got enough draft picks now in the cupboards that we can start trading some of this. We don't need draft picks back. So this is why I was so happy about this. And I just think Jake and Armia are too much of a positive 1-2 punch, and especially with Heineman back, and the three of them just gel so well. I'd like to leave that fourth line alone and see what they can do moving forward. Technically, I know they're called the fourth line. They are not the fourth line. They are a third line, because truthfully, what we've gotten out of them, compared, and don't take this wrong, it's no knock against Anderson, Dvorak, and Galley by any stretch of the imagination, but I do believe that line is truly the fourth line. It's just the way they put it on paper. So, with that being said, totally pleased. Go Habs, go. Every Habs fan should be excited for this guy, because Jake Evans is a class act. I am so pleased on all the way around, and on the part, both sides, and for us as fans, because he's just such a he's a class act, heart and soul guy. I'm just so you, I'm overwhelmed with joy that this is done, and that's why I was saying I was going to respond and say there's only one way you get rid of Jake Evans, if we were hell bent on not signing him, and that would have been for a first rounder. So you probably would have had to package something, because otherwise, second round down is just wouldn't have been worth making a trade for whatsoever, in my opinion. My opinion, I think Montreal did today what was right. I wanted them re-signed, but if they weren't going to, the only thing I would have accepted was a first rounder. That's the only way the deal would have made sense, um, for the Habs to lose such a big piece to their system. Now that doesn't, I know he's not to that level in everybody else's, with all the teams put together. But in Montreal system, he is. So now I'd like to see us, and here's my opinion. I do not think you're going to see any big trades from Montreal. And if you do, I don't. The only one I can see would be Dvorak. I think they're going to try to keep this unit together. And the only other thing I'm not sure of is, and I'd like to see this, I really would like to see them go after Cousins and throw some package together. I don't know what deal. I mean, there's, for me, I look at Kirby Doc and New Hook easily thrown into a package, and you could throw. somebody else in with them and a couple draft picks to get Cousins, I'd gladly go for that. That's just me. So I would like to see them be buyers, truthfully. Where we're this close, I think Cousins would be the perfect second line center behind Nick. Nick, again, is right now proving to be, this is the first time, and I've always said he wasn't a first line center. This is the first year he's really showing he can be and living up to it. So, Nick, hats off to Nick. He's doing a great job. Now, last year backwards, we didn't see the same intensity and the same work ethic all the way through because you can't have let ups. So, Nick is really this year showing he can be a first line center. Now, to have, if we were to get Cousins as the second line, that would be perfect because I'm sorry. Um, I love Kirby Doc, but after that injury, to me, like I said, unfortunately, I don't see this turning out good for us. Now, do I think it was a loss in the trade? No, I don't. Honestly, I think it was a chance you had to take. Romanoff is good, but we had better defensemen than Romanoff in the system. So I honestly look at that trade kind of, yeah, okay, so it helped the Islanders in the sense because they didn't have those type of defensemen, but we did. Um, and we had better ones. We had Jacki who could play much better physicality. I mean, Romanov is good, but he missed he could get burnt a lot, and I even think Strubal's a step up on him. And I think Strubel and Jacki have been playing fabulous for the Habs, and they've got so much more down in the system still that I just think. So really, to me, that wasn't a loss, but I do see the Alex Newhook trade as a loss. I just think we gave up far too much for what we thought was going to be a second liner. Sorry, that's just the way I see it. I don't see the intensity. Speed is one thing. Speed used without any direction is useless. And yes, he scored a couple goals in the last few games. That's great to see. But boy, the board battles and the defensive play, not pleased with. So you could look at Kirby Doc, the experiment of Kirby Doc and Newhook, as unsuccessful. Let's just put it that way so far. And I don't think Kirby can be a center. I just think he's had enough time. And unfortunately, yes, the injury railroaded him. It's the way it is. He just seems to be injury prone. So I do think we need a second line center. Maybe Doc can be a winger on the second line, but either way, he can be a third line winger for sure. So with that being said, I'm hoping to see. I honestly do not think the Habs will make a trade by the trade deadline. That is my opinion. If they do, I believe it will be Dvorak. If they do. Now, again, for me, I would really like, because I would like to see Hughes and Gordon reward the Habs for what they're pushing hard, and they're only 5 points out of there. Uh, so good to see. What more can you see out of a playoff spot? This is great. But to reward them, we got two good, we got a good first line, we've got a good three and four. It's our second line that needs something. Let's fix it. Let's get a guy like Cousins. That's my opinion, or somebody of that nature, and get somebody that can really lifen it up. Because I think that's the only thing holding Patrick Laine back is the talent level of the second line. I mean, they have played better, but they're still not up to par with the other three lines. So for me, and I think that's because we don't have two players. There's only Lonnie, who truthfully is a second liner on that line right now. So I think, yes, Beck has done a respectable job for a kid. I think he shows that he can be a fourth line center. I don't think he's at the level of a second line, but he's got a lot of room to grow too. So who knows, right? But I think Jake Evans could perfectly jump up to or you move. Well, that line's the third line to me anyway, and then you put if you are moving Dvorak, you could put Beck in his place. But I honestly have to say, I mean, we got him. In my opinion, the experiments were fails. Um, Now, Doc, I think, had a better chance because he looked good before his injury, but because of the injury, it seemed to do something to him. We haven't seen him back really to what his level, and he's just not, to me, at what he needs to be to be a second line center. I think he can be a winger on the second line if he earns it, but he's gonna have to up his physicality. There's no doubt in my mind. But for me, why don't you reward the Habs and give them, hey, so I mean, if maybe you got to move one guy, and I hate to say it because I don't see the future with Dvorak, just speed wise. And I do think Dvorak's a good player, though, don't get me wrong. But in all honesty, I think that's the area where we could make one move, and they did say they'd like to reward him. Well, why not? So the question is, will Montreal buy? And that's what I hope they do. I don't really think, for the most part, they're going to be sellers. Other than unless if they move someone out, I think honestly it should be to buy. To, you throw a package together just to swap because you're trying to improve your second line. That's the only way I can see the Habs. Otherwise, I wouldn't mess with it. And with only one player being affected in that, that wouldn't be so devastating, right? And then you improve the second line. That would be a message that they're investing in rewarding the team. So with that being said, and there's different venues and different avenues they can use. Who knows? But I'm so pleased Jake Evans is sticking around now. And like I said, a lot of people might not have the same. I've been very proud of Armia, especially since he came back from Laval. He's been a different guy, and I just think he's too vital. I think that fourth line, which technically really is the third line, is too important. They got a perfect chemistry and they're so cohesive. So let's not mess with that. Is my opinion. I'd resign. Now you could do it with our Mia with like a shorter term, and I think he'd be cool with that because he wants to stay too, and he knows he's a little older than Evans. So I think you could get a 2-year deal for him. And I think that'd be the way to go. And then again, like I said, I think with Savard, you do it year by year. Because I think he's the perfect seventh defenseman for the Habs next year on, moving onward. Just to keep him around for those kids and being a great dressing room guy. So for me, I've been that's why I don't like to get in rumor land. And that's why I was ignoring we heard all the stories of all the big trades, and it was so bleak. Well, there you go, Rumorland. Those who wanted to pump rumors, that's what happens when you pump rumors. Doesn't look so good on you because you see, it just shows that you got a gossipy tendency and just want a story to write off and get people to click on your page for or whatever it is. So that's why I don't buy into that. I'd rather do it honestly and see when the chips fall that way. So go Montreal, go. Totally proud of this move. Now I just hope they sign the other two and make their decision if they're going to buy and upgrade the center area because I think they should. And I think I still am really, for me, Cousins would be ideal unless you add a winger. For me, I want Cousins at center because we need a second line center. We definitely, no matter how, whether it be now or in the off season, we need a second line center. So why not do it now? Reward them. Then the other avenues we could get a tough winger possibly, and that would be your Jeanette type of player. Those type of guys. That guy that's I forget his name. Is it Delorier? Yeah, that's one of them. But there's another guy in Columbus, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Those three guys would be a great addition as well in the future, but I doubt Columbus is getting rid of theirs because they're doing so well. So great on the Habs for doing what they did. Go Habs. Go Habs fans should be happy. Let me know your opinions, and this is what I think. You heard it from Center Ice, what we think the Habs are going to do and should do. So far it's coming into fruition. I really did not see the Habs making a trade, not the way they're playing. Um, and I think Evans has proven to be just too valuable, and he came down. It showed that he wanted to stick around. He was willing to work with the Habs, and that's great to see. And I think you'll see. I'd like to see them do it with Armia and Savard. And I like Dvorak, but I just see that eventually you've got to upgrade that second center, so it kind of makes him the odd man out. And that's just the way I see it. Although I wouldn't be disturbed if they did nothing. you know, I'd be, I wouldn't be surprised, but I think they should be buyers just to give the team a bit of a reward. So you've seen it here at Center Heist Productions. Jake Evans re-signed in Montreal for 4 years, 2.85 a year with an 11.4 million in total. You've seen it here at Center Heist Productions, where the puck drops first. Please hit the subscribe and likes. Tell me your thoughts and keep it respectable. That's all we do here. God bless. Catch you in the next episode.